Hi everyone. Welcome to the online webinar for GDG Ibadan. So today we have two fantastic guests in the house. We have Goke Obasa. He was once a GDG lead here before he moved to Germany, and we'll be sharing with us a lot of stuff here. So you guys can just prepare and get your questions ready. And basically, I want Goke to actually introduce himself. Though I know I can't say it all, but I want him to introduce himself to everybody, and we can just kickstart from there. Hi, Goke.
Okay, hi. Yes. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Goke Obasa. An engineering manager now at Delivery Hero. It's Delivery Hero is an online food delivery company, and we have now gone beyond food delivery. We also deliver other things like groceries, pharmaceuticals, pretty much anything that you need in your daily life. We'll start to deliver. Those are like kind of the expansion things we are doing newly, but it's primarily a food delivery company. I lead a team of 6 people at the moment with 6 engineers. It's a cross-functional team, so we have like Android engineers, iOS engineers, web and backend engineers, and we basically work on feature sets relating to order tracking. So we kind of provide customers with like up-to-date and transparent information about their orders at every point in time. So we tell you like, is the order being prepared? Is the restaurant preparing your food? Where is the rider at this point in time? Is the rider close to you? Do you need to prepare some money for the rider? Do you need to know if the order will be delayed and things like this? So that's what my squad does. We also, in addition to that, provide customer communication. So we send like notifications either by push messages, SMS, or emails to customers to let them know the status of their orders when they place a new order, when their order is being prepared or is close to them, or even in the case where it's cancelled, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's pretty much what my team does and focuses on.
Oh, great, fantastic. Hi, Emmanuel, I can see you. Welcome.
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Welcome to the. Oh, you're coughing. Sorry. Welcome to
I'm sorry.
GDG. No, we're not scared. It's not COVID. It's fine. All right. So I want to just quickly introduce yourself to everybody. This is a live webinar and it's been recorded, and we're going to put it on YouTube too, in case everybody or people are not online right now. So we're going to put this stuff on YouTube. So hi, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I'm fine. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Where's your mask? You have your face mask. What's happening?
No way. I've been in there. I've been working from home since.
For sure. My name is Emmanuel Adigun. I currently work with InterSwitch as a UX and also a front-end engineer. I joined InterSwitch 2017. Yeah. Prior to that, I worked at Venture Gadi Group, which today everybody knows as Vibranum Valley. Yeah, I also work as a front-end developer there, but currently at InterSwitch, I work as both the UX and front-end as a front-end engineer. So what I do is so there's the UX, there's the front-end. I know some of us know about that. Unlike what we used to have before, whereby developers just start developing without consulting the UX designers. But what we have today is this: we have the UX designers that try to scope, do a flow of what the application should look like, and then that is passed on to the developers to work on. And a couple of projects that I'm involved in. I'm sure some of you know QuickTeller. A lot of us know QuickTeller. You know what QuickTeller does. Is a payment solution where you go and top up your phone, you do your bill payments, you do transfers. There you can also book flights. There's the e-commerce aspect of it. There's the loan aspect of it. It's just like an e-commerce platform, but basically everything there is just transaction for you to do transaction. Aside that, we also have a couple of solutions that we also work on, which is Vev. Well, I know that many of us in Nigeria, yeah, have our MasterCard, Visa card, but we also have the Verve card, which is homemade. Uh, my own advice is when you go to your bank to request for a ATM card, please do request for a Verve card. Let's support our what we're producing here. So aside that, we also have applications that support the businesses. We have the auto pay, we have pay direct, the one for collection and the one for disbursement. So that's what we that's part of the products that InterSwitch has. Many more to come soon. Just keep an eye on InterSwitch.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Emmanuel. So let me just do a quick more of like reintroduction of the old stuff. So basically, this webinar is more about understanding the future of work. Okay,
Yeah.
so how we can evolve from being a junior engineer to moving to a senior engineer, because that's more of like the goal. You can't just keep writing HTML, CSS every time. We have to move. Okay, we have to move to the next
Yeah.
step. And sometimes some people have actually evolved in this career, maybe moving from, just like Emmanuel, moving from the content person, from UX person, moving to data person. So they are, okay, I'm actually a typical example to moving from this backend engineer, moving to DevOps engineer. And there's so many cases like that. So some moving from Android, moving to becoming a manager, you know. So there are different phases in life. So, and starting from okay, so can you just share with us how you're able to transition from becoming a backend engineer, someone that is doing PHP, writing backend code, and moving to managing people, managing 6 engineers. I know it's a total field, as a total is a different field entirely, you know, managing code, you're not managing people. So how are you able to transition from that point, courses you took, books you read, some things you maybe you did different, maybe you have a paradigm shift in your mind, say, okay, maybe, okay, I'm tired of this backend stuff, I want to move to managerial, I want to do this stuff. So what triggered you? What are those things that you saw that made you now, okay, I'm going to this, I'm moving to this role?
Okay. Hi. Yeah. Thanks. Well, I will start with the first question, which was like how to transition. I would say for me, I think focus should be on solving problems. A lot of us we learn, we gain knowledge, but we don't use it to solve any problems. And the more problems you solve, the more you gather experience. And when you gather more experience, you are able to transition. Of course, there are specific things that are important to being like a senior engineer. And one of the important factors, in addition to solving problems, would be being a multiplier. So you should have an ability to improve the overall output of your team, not just being someone that is just part of a team, but there's nothing significant that you're contributing. So of course, it doesn't mean your team cannot work if you're not around, but you should be someone that whenever you're available, or the processes or the libraries or the I don't know, documentation you wrote improves the productivity of your team. And that's one important thing of being a senior engineer. You should be a multiplier. Another thing should be you should be the fundamentals of whatever you do. You should be very, very versatile at it and have a good grasp of it. So if you are a mobile engineer, for example, you should have a good grasp of HTTP, making an HTTP request, gRPC, WebSockets, the whole concept of networking. You should have a good understanding of the language you use, the nuances, when to do this and when to do that. You should have a good understanding of trade-offs. You should be pragmatic in your approach to solving problems. So you should not be these people that are in typical camps of, oh, I like this language and it's always the language I use, or I like this tool, it's always the tool I use. You should have grown to evolve to a point where you are pragmatic. You can say, I use this tool because this is it solves this problem in this particular way. I know these are the pros, I know these are the cons, and for this case, the pros outweigh the cons, so we do this. You know, so you have to be able to make this kind of mature decision making. You also have to, like I said earlier, be a multiplier, this decision making, being pragmatic, and then you show that you are someone that is good at it. particular thing. So you should get to a point where you can be identified as being knowledgeable in a particular area.
Yeah.
We can't all know everything. Engineering is a huge field, and you should be able to say, you know what, maybe when it comes to the CI/CD pipeline, I'm quite good with this. If you have any questions, you can come to me. I can unblock you. You know, or when it comes to Golang specific issues, I'm quite good with that. You can support me. Or when it comes to HTTP requests or gRPC requests and how they work, I can support you there. So there should be something you are known for that everybody sees, looks up to you as a go-to person.
Yeah. So you're actually talking about transitioning and moving from being a junior engineer to moving to senior engineer and becoming a manager. So can you just continue to share the experience, the books, the courses you took, and the mindset, and what triggers you to take that paradigm shift?
Okay. Yeah, like I said, leadership is something I started doing before.
Okay.
But I said the key thing to becoming a manager, I think, is first you need to be aware of what it means in terms of the changing path. It's not a strictly technical path anymore. There's a lot of people management and also organizational skills required. So you need to really ask yourself if you are ready. There's no need to rush. It's something you can always do if you decide to. And also not need to be too afraid, because if you start it and you feel like it's not working for you, you can always go back, you know, and say, I want to be an individual contributor continuously. I don't want to be a manager anymore. In terms of books, I think the most important thing is about being a manager. One of the most important things about being a manager is communication. One book I read that really helped me was the book called Radical Candor. I don't know the title of the author. I can't remember the author now, but it's a book called Radical Candor. And it's really good because it tells you about being, you know, sometimes we don't give good feedback because we want to be empathetic. We don't want to come out as being aggressive or things like that. But in the process of that, you might also end up reading the person of important feedback that could help the person to grow. So striking this balance between not being too empathetic and not being too aggressive as well is important. So that's what that book talks about. There's also a book on talking about things to do like one-on-one. This is called the Manager's Path by Camille. Sorry, I think I hope I got the name right. I know her name is Camille. I'm not sure about her surname. Yeah, but it's also a nice book, and you learn like a lot of things. But mostly, I think a lot of it also has to be with you being ready to adapt to the new changes. So if before as an individual contributor, your amount of technical time or coding time you had was 80%, you probably will have now I have about 40% coding time or even less sometimes. So most of my work is people management, ensuring my team is productive, they are engaged, they are happy, performance reviews, feedbacks, unblocking my team, aligning with other stakeholders and things like that. All those kind of things I do now. And so I think it's important to know that it's not a promotion, it's a career change. That's what many people get it wrong. And I think ideally most companies should offer multiple opportunities. It should not just be the only way for you to grow is being a manager. A good company should offer you another opportunity. Maybe if you want to strictly become a technical person, maybe from a senior, you become a principal engineer. From a principal engineer, you become a staff engineer. So it depends on the company, but key thing is for you to don't be pushed into it if it's not something you want, because the skills that got you to being a senior engineer will not be enough for you to be a good manager. You need to acquire more skills. You need to be more empathetic. You need to be more observant. You need to listen more. You need to enable your team to work. You cannot be the one doing everything anymore. You need to, even if you are the best code contributor before, you probably will not be anymore. You need to enable your team to become these people that are really productive. So the more you can make your team productive, the more you can align and make your team better than what they improve and be more productive. Then you can say you are succeeding as a manager. In terms of courses, my company offers a lot of courses internally, so I've not really done any course online because we do a lot of courses, do managers training, we do courses on engagement, on like leadership styles. We do a lot of courses, so I probably have attended more than 5 or 6 courses. I have planned about 3 courses next quarter. But one thing I can do is highlight the topics that are contained in these courses. So mostly around empathy. So being empathetic, emotional intelligence is very important. Self-awareness, social awareness, and being how you go about making decisions and what you do. Also, something called unconscious bias is very important, especially if you're working in a diverse culture. So for me now, I work in a diverse culture. I work with a team of people from different parts of the world. and I think I have more than 6 nationalities in my team. And that means that I have to really be I have to remove a lot of unconscious bias that I have. Maybe they are influenced by my background or by my culture. So that's also another good thing you can read about, being unconscious, not being unconsciously biased. So in the context of Nigeria, for example, some people are biased by tribes, some people are biased by location of where you come from. So you need to be aware of these things. Another topic that is important in leadership styles and when to use them. There are different kinds. There's a democratic style where you try to make everybody vote and make decisions. There's autocratic style where you need really to say, you know what, let's do this. And there are times when they are important. So maybe there's an emergency, something is going wrong, there's a lot of hysteria, people don't know what to do. You can't then be saying, okay, people, let's vote on what to do. Can we come together? What do you think we should do? That's not the time to say, let's vote. That's the time to say, you know what, this is the direction, this is what we need to do, let's do it. So there's every style has a good place. There's also the coaching style where you actually facilitate and coach, especially for high performance. So if you have a team that is really high performing, you need to be able to facilitate them to get better, to improve them. There are a few other styles that I cannot really remember now. There's also, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, yes. So there's also there are many other styles. So leadership styles is also good. Another thing is self-discovery. So you should discover yourself. Be aware really of some of the things you do that you're not conscious about. So if you are someone that maybe someone says something you don't like, if you frown your face, being a manager would make a lot of these things come forward. They will bring them to light. So a lot of mannerisms you had and nobody complain about. As being a manager, people will probably start to notice more of these things because you are held to a higher kind of accountability. You're accountable for your team. People expect things from you. Your body language means a lot to people. So that's also something you can pay attention to. And the other thing is engagement and keeping your team engaged, either by providing good projects, by ensuring that you are listening to them, by getting feedback regularly. Also, giving feedback is also another topic we should read about, and reviewing performance, knowing how to judge people's performance based on their level, not just, some people judge everyone on the same level. It's not true. Depending on your role, depending on your level in the company, the way you are evaluated should be different. So these are kind of topics that you can probably read about and study about if you want to become a manager. But I think the most important thing I want to emphasize is be sure it's something you want to do. Read about it, study about it. Some companies offer an opportunity to actually take a training on being a potential manager first, and then for you to decide if you want to be or not. So if that opportunity exists in your company, it might be a good idea for you to try it first and to see if it's really something you want to do, because some people don't just want to do that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Goke. Thank you, Goke. Hi, Emmanuel. Welcome back.
Oh yeah, your system was hard.
It wasn't my system, actually. Let me just explain. It wasn't my system. The link we put the link on Twitter, and anybody could join.
Okay.
And not it wasn't restricted at all. So that's what happened. Welcome back. So the same question,
yeah,
Manuel. Yeah, the same question. Okay. So I reading your LinkedIn profile,
right.
I realized you transition from I saw UI UX and content marketing, content stuff, and then you move into data. Okay. So can you just put us through your experience, right. how you able to move from doing UI UX, or were you tired of doing UI UX, or because new opportunity came up that you moved to UI UX, and how were you able to move to this data thing? Okay, what did you see? Did you see anything about the future, or is it because of the high salary, or because you're just so passionate about this stuff? So can you just walk us through and tell us your experience? And I believe people online would love to understand and know the future.
All right. So I started out as a graphics designer. That was way back in school then. So I think I was in part 3. Coincidentally, myself and Goke, we attended the same school. Yeah, part 3 I could remember. So I started out as graphics. Then from there, when we got to our finals and it was time to do the project and the rest, then I started doing a little bit of HTML and CSS. So as at that time, we had this clique then, myself and some of our colleagues then. There's this team they set up in the university then, they call it Odometric Lab. So our responsibility was to try and make OAU rank top when it comes to internet presence. And myself and a few of my teams then we came together, and it was something we worked on and we achieved. So in between that process, I decided to pick up web development. I started learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's how I started then. Not because everybody was doing it, but it was because I saw that somebody that likes solving problems. So when I tried questioning, why is this like this? Can't there be a software that does this? Can't there be a software that does this? I discovered that, man, I can't just be wishing and not take action. So that's why I decided to take the bull by the horn and started web development. So I started till when we finished, thanks to my colleagues that we meet then. Then 2014, I got an internship offer at Venture Garden Group. So then I still had this basic knowledge of web development. And when this over came, when I did the interview, and I could remember when the guy was asking me this question: do you know this? I said no. Do you know this? I said no. Do you know this? I said no. And you want to do internship? What do you know? But he just had this belief in me that, okay, since I'm just a fresh graduate, I should just come in there. I'm going to catch up. So when I came in as a UI UX designer then. So I remember that I had my first task was to work on a legacy project, and it was crazy. Imagine somebody that doesn't know anything about web software development, and your first task is to work on a legacy project. And as at that time, the tech stack that was used then was ASP.NET. So then MVC was not too popular per se, but the legacy project was built with ASP.NET, and they said, okay, come, you say you know how to do design. Okay, come and revamp this. It was really challenging, but I had to do research, understand the code base, know how it worked. I discovered that within a few weeks, I revamped the whole design and it was looking nice. And everybody was like, oh, nice. We now have a very good UI UX designer. We now have an expert. If you have concern about how to revamp your project, come and meet this guy, come and meet this guy. And I was like, wow, is it like that? So that was how I started till it got to a point. Then I discovered that, okay, I've been doing UI UX for a while. So what's the next thing? So I remember my land manager then was like, okay, what about doing some things on JavaScript? What about having some dynamic stuff to your designs? Then I began to think, okay, I did a research and I discovered that, well, UI UX is good, but I want to step up and become a front-end engineer, front-end developer. So I had to go online, read resources, read materials. Then the challenge came whereby we have started doing MVC by now. Now, the idea is this. We have backend developers that are building APIs. Then they need somebody to be able to consume these APIs and bind them to the front end. But because I had that knowledge already, I had already done my study, then it was very easy for me to integrate and to just work with them. And that's how I started as a front-end engineer. So in between that phase, we had new intakes, new recruits of designers. So I was like overseeing them at that point. Somebody that just finished school and just started overseeing young lads. But it was fun, it was interesting. I spent like 3 years there. So in between those years, I also did some things on data. I remember then when there's a dashboard then I built with a colleague that has to involve data. And by the time we finished that project and we had to do a presentation, the CEO, I could remember, said, right now, any project you're doing, I need to see metrics. I need to see data. I need to see how it's performing. I need to see how it's doing in the market. And that's how the idea of data started in the company. So after spending 3 years there, then I had to move to InterSwitch. So InterSwitch, I had to combine my UX skills and my front-end skills. And it's been interesting. It's been awesome because I remember there have been challenging times. There have been times whereby you had to implement a particular feature and it's like they need it like yesterday and you're wondering that how is this going to happen. But with thank God for the internet, research is there, you can go online, do research and what have you. And I discovered that new problems spring up every day and new challenges come up every day. New features come up every day. You don't have a choice. If you say you're an engineer, a software engineer, you have to tackle these problems. There was this issue that came up on they wanted to track something on QuickTeller. So with QuickTeller today, want to be able to track some metrics, and they need that feature to be implemented on a code base. So when I was approached on, okay, we have to do this, I was thinking, man, QuickTeller code base, the way it is, it's together with the backend. So you don't have this separation of concerns. So I was wondering, how do we go about this? You have to reach through, because so many people worked on it, people that had even left the company. And you begin to imagine that, oh, who do I ask? Where do I run to? But that's where the idea of collaboration comes in. When you're stuck, you ask questions. Nobody knows everything. When you are at a crossroad, you ask questions. So I was able to ask questions. I had some of my colleagues that were working on QuickTeller together, and they were able to provide solution. I discovered that, oh, implementing this thing was just straightforward. It didn't even take me time. So I implemented it, and when the results came out, when the output came out, and the business begins to see, oh, this is how this feature on QuickTeller is performing in the market, then they had to make this conversation that each units in the company will have to integrate a data feature on their platform, and that's the next line of action that the company is taking right now. The QuickTeller has done it. Other products, other projects in the company are also looking forward to implement this feature. Aside that, in between 2018, 2017, 2019, I team up with two of my friends. They are based in Germany right now. And because of this drive and passion to always solve problems, we came up with an idea. The idea is more of a visual search technology. So just like the way you have Google Lens today, you upload the photo and you see something similar, a recommendation of what you've just uploaded. So we decided that, okay, let's see what we can do with this feature. We made use of AWS recognition. It's a very interesting project. The name of the project is Vision.ai. We started it I think fully 2018. So what it does is, once you have the app installed, if I see your shirt, if I see your dress I like, I snap it, I upload it, and I see something similar to what I've just uploaded, and I can decide to just buy on the go like that. So we applied for a competition, AWS 2018 AI competition. That was December 2018. And luckily for us, we were part of the 7 winners. So we got an honorable prize mention award. That was 2018 December. Yeah. So 2019 also, I attended a couple of pitch events, because I was not just trying to look for an investor. I was trying to see how I can redefine the e-commerce space. Today, you go to an e-commerce store, what you find now traditionally is everyone has a search bar for you to go there and search. But what if I don't have an idea or the name of what I'm looking for, but I can see the picture? Why can't I just snap the picture and upload to the platform, and I see it, and the system something similar, and I buy on the go? So that was the idea I have, and that was what was driving me to say, okay, can I redefine the e-commerce space in Nigeria, even in Africa as a whole? Is it possible? So 2019, I attended a startup bootcamp event like that. Just 2019, early 2019. At the end of it all, we're giving $2,000 worth of AWS credits. Then we also had the opportunity of attending a boot camp in South Africa, but along the line, we just had to drop off, because some of my colleagues that were together with us were based in Germany, and they don't want to relocate back to South Africa. And so, but the project is still ongoing. We're trying to look for other sectors, other industries where visual search can actually play. Now, in the course of doing this project, there was something I discovered, because each time we go to meet people, or each time we go to pitch because I actually went to places, I actually went to the banks, to a particular bank that does e-commerce. I actually went to meet them and see if it's a feature they can actually integrate with. Because there's something we discovered at the end of our research. We discovered that the Nigerian market was not ready for visual search. It wasn't ready for visual search. If we had known earlier on, we would have, maybe we should have pivoted and looked for other sectors where this can be applicable. But this enthusiasm now, oh, because it's a new technology and you want to try out new things, and we just started like that. Okay, let's go and pitch, let's go. We're going everywhere, and we're like, what's happening? You just integrate this thing. That's all. Don't pay us, don't give us money. Just add this feature to your site. That's what we want. They're like, okay, don't worry, just come back. So at the end, after a lot of research, we discovered that Nigerian market wasn't ready for visual search. So when I had to look for ways when I had to pivot and see other areas where visual search can actually play. So that's what I've been doing. And I think what I can say is looking at the Nigerian tech space today, the future of work in technology. Foundationally, as an engineer, you need to focus on your environment and look at what is going on in your environment. Look at the need in your environment. Look at the tech stack that is used in your environment. But at the same time, have the world in view. While focusing on the need of your environment, while you ask questions, okay, what's the stack, tech stack that is running in Nigeria that everybody uses, okay, you're learning to use. But at the same time, have the world in view. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there was nothing like data scientists in Nigeria. I remember that when I had some of my friends doing data science, they were like, some of our colleagues like, what are these guys learning? They're learning shit. Who's learning what they're doing? But today, you know that if you're a data scientist, you know what it means. So look at what is going on in your environment and look for the opportunities around your environment and learn what you know is relevant to your environment, but also have the world in view while learning.
Wow, great. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Manuel. I've actually learned a lot. And before we move to the next step, I want to start taking questions, maybe 2 questions first, and I want it very fast. We have limited time, so we got to act, not act actually, but we have limited time. So I can see a lot of people joining in already, and this webinar is actually being recorded, and at the end of this webinar, we are putting it on YouTube, and we're going to share the YouTube link to everyone, and you have the opportunity to watch it again and get understanding of what has been happening for the past 20 minutes. Okay, so moving on, the idea is just to understand the future of work and how we have Goke online, and we have Emmanuel. Goke is engineering manager from Germany, works in Germany, and we have Emmanuel, data engineer too, works at InterSwitch in Nigeria. So basically, they've been talking to us about how to transition, how to move from being a junior engineer to becoming a senior engineer and just transforming to any field or any field in this tech industry. So we talked about reading books. We talked about communication skills. We talked about how to understand people and their different level of leadership, decision making, and he talked about carrying people along, what will unblock them, what has been, when it comes to his team actually. So he talked about following up his team, that he doesn't really write code anymore, not up to like 80% like before. What he has been doing is just following up and trying to see if what stakeholders are bringing is in line with what is going on actually. So basically, and Emmanuel talked about how he was able to transition from doing UI UX, from moving to data. And one significant thing I understood very well is when it was getting the first offer as an intern. Okay, he doesn't really know everything. Okay, he started like they were asking me different questions. Do you know this? Said no. Do you know this? Said no. Do you know this? Said no. So he was able to push forward and still believe in himself to learn. Sometimes we get stuck in tutorials. Want to, oh, I have not learned JavaScript. Oh, I need to know React. Oh, I need to know Angular. Oh, I need to know Vue. I need to know this before I'm ready for this job. Sometimes, okay, it's so a tech industry is just we have a lot of things moving very, very fast, okay, and you might not have to know everything before you can say, oh yes, I can go for this job, or because I can go for this. So at the end of the day, what I actually got from Emmanuel's conversation, one, he was able to drive himself, was able to push. Okay, you asked him different questions, he didn't feel discouraged about it, he was able to move on. And from Goke to books and keep pushing yourself. That's actually very, 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 very important. And moving on to the second question, I think Tola is back. Moving on to the second question, Tola, we'd like to ask your question now.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Dapo.
All right.
All right, so I would like to ask Goke and Emmanuel. Let me ask this first. This is the era of coronavirus and all of that, and we are thinking about future of work. We have had many companies switch to remote working in the last couple of days. Do you think, as this is a trying time or testing time for most companies, to consider most engineers working from home, do you think moving on from now, do you think many companies would allow engineers or people who work in tech, data scientists and all, to work from home? Since we are talking about future of work in technology. So Goke, your view first.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a friend of mine were discussing this morning, as relating to kind of the long-term impact of this pandemic and what it would do to like working. For example, I've been working from home for 2 weeks now. We have always had like working from home policies, but it was more of a flexible thing. It was not really like you can, or there was no clear policy. But now we all have to work from home. The offices are even shut. I think definitely there will be an impact. I think people will realize that people's beliefs will be challenged about working remotely, and people will see that if we could do it in time of crisis and somehow the companies are still running, then that means maybe we can do this. I think it would also be a clarion call to people that don't have processes in place, because I think you can only work from home properly if you have the right setup in place. Do your company have a VPN? Do you host in the cloud? Do you have tools to collaborate? Maybe it's Zoom you need. For example, for large companies especially, some of the meetings might do like in the company where I work, we have over 90-something people joining calls. So that's not something you can use some free tools for. You need to have like specific tools for that, enterprise tools. So companies will also need to invest in there. So it's going to be a big decision for companies to really think about.
Especially if you're in Nigeria and you live in Lagos, you know, you go to traffic, and that's, in fact, before you get to work, you're already walked up and all of that.
That's true.
So I feel, just like you have said, you know, companies will start, when they see the result of productivity from this period, they can begin to look at how to set up fully and help engineers be more productive, and people generally to be more productive in their work. All right. Thanks, Emmanuel. So still talking about the future of work. So what does the future hold for software engineers? Maybe they learned JavaScript or learned PHP in the past few years. And then, you know, we have had solutions, we have had more smart solutions, we have had some tools that are automated. Do you think we have had enough of these tools? And do you think software engineers are already saturated, that their jobs, and now that we're even having robotics and all of that, and people are developing robotics, if this is fully deployed, or maybe, how do I put it now? Fully deployed by a company, and then it's all over the world. I mean, for robots now, I mean, for intelligent solutions now, do you think software engineers have their jobs on the line, or do you think they won't be relevant any longer?
Okay, I don't think so. I don't think software engineers will one day lose their job because the computer itself is a machine and also has a limit. The robot itself is a machine, also has a limit. So this is the idea. There are still some problems the computer can solve. There are still some problems the robots can solve. So what I've discovered, or what I see is going to happen is this: the repetitive task, what you do every day, will be handled by intelligent systems, will be handled by robots. What you do every day, repetitive task, just like you have the automation, you don't have to go there and manually deploy your code yourself. It's automated already. But where we come in is the innovative process, the thinking process, the problem solving process, the ideation process, the ability to be able to think and prefer solutions to issues. That is where we are going. That is the future. Because right now, the problems keeps coming. Now you have the issue of the coronavirus, and all of a sudden the tech team is now overwhelmed. Everybody's looking for solution. Software developers, can you come up with a solution? Can you come up with a solution? Problems will keep coming. And the robots won't do the thinking for you. It is we that will do the thinking. We have to come up with a solution. So while the intelligence system handle the repetitive process at the workplace, we handle the thinking process, we handle the solution, we handle the innovation. I'll give you an instance. So I have a colleague in the office that, so I don't know if I should say this. So there's one of our projects that is both the back end and the front end is together. So what happens is this: once you make a change in a particular code, you have to deploy both the front end and the back end. Once you just change a particular, you remove this comma, you move this semicolon, you have to change, you have to deploy both the front end and the back end. And it's always an issue because the project is slow once it's deployed, and we'll be trying to figure out, okay, what's the best solution to this? So the robots won't think for us. So what the guy had to do is this: he had to see a way of separating the front from the back. So he successfully did that. The front was built with React, the back was done with C Sharp. So he successfully separated the front from the back. And right now, while deploying, it can deploy just the front alone without the back. The back also can deploy itself alone without the front. So right now, the system seems fast. And that's where the innovation comes in. That's where the thinking process comes in. That's where the solution comes in. That's where the problem solving comes in. So the future of work, what I say is this: will software engineers, not just software engineers, even testers, even product managers and the rest, the future of work is for us to be innovative, to provide solutions to problems, while the intelligent systems, while the smart systems, while the robots handle the repetitive tasks, the repetitive process that happens at the workplace.
Okay, all right, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
That was really amazing. So Goke, what's your thought?
Yes. I mean, I agree in a sense with especially about the fact that I don't see a threat at the moment. Clear and present danger, I don't see. I believe we have not hit that kind of scale that the one Paula mentioned about like saturation. I don't think we've come close, especially looking at Nigeria, and not even just Nigeria, even here, all over the world. I don't know if you check numbers, but software engineers are not that many still.
Yeah.
Looking at specifically about engineering now, are not that many companies are still struggling to recruit. In places where companies are able to recruit, you realize that startups suffer. And we all know that we need both startups and unicorns in every market. You need unicorns to solve problems that require a lot of money to solve. You need startups to solve futuristic problems, to solve new problems, to solve new local problems. So companies are still struggling with this. We are still struggling to find people to solve problems, maybe an Android engineer there, or an iOS engineer here, or a backend engineer here. It takes long times to still recruit people. So I think we have not quite the surface. Recently, I was privy to like a conversation where they were discussing about like percentages and numbers. In some countries, we have about, I hope I'm right, maybe some percentage, let's say in the magnitude of 10x percentage, 10 or 20x percent of the number of engineers we have now in Nigeria. And this is still a very small number of their population. So I don't think we are there yet. Currently in Nigeria, we are still at this stage where we are still saying using tech for, like as an engineer, you are going to a job, it's still mostly infra-suite, it's still mostly banks, it's still mostly banks, insurance companies, software consulting companies, maybe recently the fintech companies that are doing a lot of agency banking. Now, already at least here, you have real estate companies having engineers. I have a bunch of friends that work in real estate companies. I went to a conference the other time, and one of the presentations was done by the supermarket. They have a team of over 200 engineers or so, and they have like microservices, like probably 200 or so, and they have it. It's just a store. It's like a typical Upmark or your typical what's this store called in this popular store, ShopRite, your typical ShopRite.
ShopRite, yeah.
You know, and they do like very extensive proper delivery. You can select your delivery time. They have a web, like an online storefront where you can do a lot of things. They have a mobile application. You can do a lot of things. They have loyalty programs. Technology for us now, we are still at the soft level where we are only using technology when it's something critical, because it's not really what is the right word to use? It's not really it's not yet pervasive, so it's not yet become something that it's not yet invisible to us, you know. Whereas we need to get to that point where you want to create a company. I'm thinking of creating a legal company, and I'm thinking of having an engineer just to improve my processes, just to streamline my processes. We are not there yet. And then you have a situation where you in a building, you have not just the interswitches, not just the Kota and Kush where I used to work, not just the Kudi that have engineers. You have probably almost every company there as an engineer doing something. I think that's the next level. And then we'll probably be close to saturation, but not even there. So I don't think we are saturated yet. I think we are still not, we are still using technology for specific things. I think there are still many areas where technology can be diversified. We have a large population of people. We have a lot of problems that can be solved. So definitely the future is bright. Definitely intelligent systems are coming up, but I think sometimes we mix these things up. I think clearly the problem intelligent systems come to solve is clearly a different problem. Intelligence systems solve problem when they have data. The question is, how do you get this data? A machine learning algorithm will not get data. What it does is it provides you with a result based on some data. So whether it's linear regression, maybe whether it's a neural network, you need to pass something in, right? And then it tells you this is the result of what you passed in. What is the pipeline to get this data? You need something. DevOps, you need to pass, the information needs to go to a cloud somewhere, to the router, to the right network, through Cloudflare, through your ingress rule, through your Kubernetes or whatever, through your server, to your application layer. The application layer has to do some logic. If you want to do some logic, route the results, even if it's a simple function-based like program or no serverless. I've been trying to remember serverless. So even if it's a simple serverless program, data needs to be stored. So it's just like I don't see, for now, I don't see any threats. I think they are different. It's possible that on the long run, maybe some of these things, like the serverless technologies, maybe they will reduce things. But remember, when you say serverless technology as well, somebody is building something. It's not really serverless, right? AWS has a team of people that is building something to make sure that serverless works. So when you are able to leverage on serverless, there are 1,000 other engineers or 2,000 other engineers you don't see building serverless solutions to make sure that you don't have to create servers. So at the end of the day, it's whenever it seems like something is simplified, there's a lot at the back. Amazon.com looks very simple. It looks like any typical website. Some of the things Emmanuel mentioned about e-commerce, but the search there is super smart. It's smarter than most of the things you see in Nigerian websites or stores. In a lot of e-commerce stores, you can say jewelry under 10 euros. You don't need to first of all search, then go and filter. It's that smart to do a lot of this interesting kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that you don't see. I think we are not there. We are still, for now, we are still solving problems only when they are critical. We need to get to a point where our taxi system, our transportation system is automated. And in that case, if we have a transportation system automated, do you know how many engineers we need to service that? If we have a tech team in the government house doing technology, do you know how many engineers we need there? Now talking about COVID, some of the data sets I was seeing online is from institutes, Robert Koch Institute, some of the, I think George, there's a George something institute, I'm not sure now. They put their data online, their data sets online. So that means they have engineers, they have people working on this kind of stuff, processing the data, making it in CSV format and putting it online. How many of our hospitals can give data, put data online to show the results of some of the research they do? We're not there yet. So I think for me, I'll say the future is really bright in terms for engineers, and there's still a lot to offer. As long as we don't rest on our laurels, we should not think we have gotten there. We should keep striving to be able to acquire knowledge, but most importantly, solve problems with knowledge. It's not enough to have this knowledge. You must be ready to solve problems with it.
Well, okay, so I really don't have any other questions to ask, but there are a couple of questions here. I'll just take one and then we can just wrap up. We're close to 1 hour already, and I believe I think people are getting bored. I don't know, but we're just close 1 hour already. So let me see the one I can pick. Okay, great. So, and it's still part of what Tola asked. Just hope I'm not repeating the same question. So he said, what exactly are the areas to look into technology? I think that has actually been treated. That's that one. Then tools are relevant in your role. Okay, now yeah, great. So this one is more about the remote. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? I think Emmanuel. Okay, great. So okay, great. So now everybody's switching to remote. I remember in my company, I mean, we wanted to go remote. We're like, okay, you guys can't go remote now. And I mean, you guys have to come to office. You have to do this stuff. But I mean, COVID doing the whole thing, everybody working from home, and we are still delivering. All right, but we just want to make sure that we were able to prove to them that okay, what we are doing right now, we can still deliver even after this COVID thing. We can still do it from home. We are capable. We can perform and we can deliver optimally. And can you just share, because I know probably you guys have been doing remote, maybe you've done remote before. I mean, tools and things can be tools, it can be skill sets that engineers need to have. We've talked about communication skills. Maybe you're having issues, maybe you don't have, maybe you realize that you're on 5% of your battery and you can't just go off. You have to, okay, guys, I'm on 5%, I need to go off now because you're working remote. Nobody sees you, right? You just have to trust you and to believe in you. So constant communication, I believe, which is part of what you've actually mentioned. And any other thing do you think engineers, because right now we're preparing for the future, we believe that after this COVID, maybe companies will want to adopt remote. We want to see, okay, you guys, you've done maybe a month. I pray it soon gets up to a month. Maybe you've done 2 or 3 weeks working remotely. You guys can maybe start working remotely, maybe twice in a week or 3 times in a week. So apart from communication skills, ability to communicate, maybe your battery is down, your internet is bad, or you're trying to get something. What are those things you think an engineer or engineers can adopt in this remote kind of lifestyle? Okay, I know it's actually because I've not worked full-time remotely before. I mean spending 2 weeks working remotely, and I see a lot of differences. I see that I have to communicate. I have to make sure I get my things right. I have to make sure I do the best. I know working remotely, staying alone inside the house, it's somehow, you don't have anybody to talk to. Okay, so there are some things that might actually comes up. Okay, during this remote work, what are those things that you can actually share to help engineers to transition from in office thing to going to remote at least?
All right. First of all, like they say, experience is the best teacher. So there are friends that that already started this remote thing for a while. So what my advice is, why not go to them and ask questions how they did it? For instance, while I was working on this visual search thing with my friends, it's fully remote. They're based in Germany. I'm based in Nigeria. So we use GitHub to collaborate, and that's where we push our code to do our commits. We use WhatsApp, to communicate. Well, there are other tools. There's a Slack, there's a Skype to communicate. But My advice is there are a lot of guys, there are a lot of people that have done this thing before. So it's going to be nice if you go to them, you ask questions, how they did it. Now, another thing with working remotely is this: you have while working remotely, for instance, you're working on a particular feature in the code, learn to always add comments to your code, because right now you're working remotely, you are not seeing your colleagues one-on-one. Unlike before, whereby, oh, you can actually ask this question from you can actually ask this question from him because you guys are sitting side by side. Comment is very important, and also documentation, because there are times that maybe you have a flat battery and you have to wait. You have to wait for like 30 minutes or 1 hour before you come on, before you come back online. But work is still going on, and you've already pushed your code. So if you don't have a comment, if you don't have a follow-up message to back up what you've just committed, there's going to be issues. So you also have to note that and put that in place. One other thing is this: if by adventure you get a remote job from a company outside, well, as against what happens in Nigeria, what I've noticed is foreign companies always follow standards. They always follow standards. The way you write your code, the way you indent code, the way you optimize it, if there's a need for refactoring, all those little things, they always follow standard. So it will be very nice if you know that worked for a foreign company and see how he had to manage the process with them. It's very, very important. The one of that things. Okay, so the future of work, what's in for engineers now? Like Goke said something that the problems are enormous, and there's still a lot of things to solve with technology. Without just the tech space, the tech company. If it's not a tech company, I'm not going elsewhere. But your services is also needed in the health sector. Your services needed in the insurance sector. Your services needed in government. The services is needed in the where else again in the education sector. So it's not just fixated or just stuck in the tech space in the tech company. There are also other sectors that actually require your skill set. So be flexible at this period. Just learn to be flexible to understand what's going on in the health sector and see what you can contribute. Learn to know what's going on in the government. Now, I've discovered now that aside the banks that have started having innovation hubs, even insurance companies too want to follow suit. That's to tell you that the problems keep coming and they require engineers to solve these problems for them. There's a particular insurance company that does this pitch, that does this hackathon. I think they are in the third or second year right now, and I'm surprised that, wow. So very soon, the government, for instance, the Lagos state government is doing an hackathon on smart meter. That's to tell you that each sectors of this economy now are already looking into tech to solve problems for them. Very soon, like the pandemic now, you're hearing of Jack Ma building a portal for doctors to collaborate. So our services are needed in all the sectors, not just the tech, not just fixated on technology, not just fixated on tech companies. Our services are also needed everywhere. So as engineers, you need to be flexible. Then another thing is this: we need to collaborate more. Very, very important. Collaboration is important. You need to contribute to open source community. That's how you can improve on yourself. That's how you can improve on your stack. There's a open source project that is going on. See how you can contribute to it. See what feature you can add to it. Not just developing on your local and it remains your local and you feel that maybe you're a local champion, but also see opportunities outside. Go online, read materials, read books, download books at this period right now. You read books, you download tutorials. If it needs, it's if you need to pay for any, just pay for it. Read books and also collaborate well and collaborate more. I'm done.
Great, great. Thank you. Okay.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, I think in terms of tools and recommendations for remote working, there are a bunch of things my team tried out recently. Miro, if you're like an agile team where you do like retrospective, some of these things are challenging to do remotely. So if you have retrospectives where you kind of talk about like your previous sprint or scrum, these are scrum ceremonies, stand-ups. So there are lots of tools now. There are stand-up bots you can use on Slack. There are tools you can use for retrospectives. One of them is called Miro, and it's really nice. You have like different boards, you have roadmap boards, you have boards you can also use for retros, or you can talk about what went well, what can be improved, what should we keep doing. And there's also Google Jamboard. So apparently Google also has a kind of tool that can be used for ideation. So design is another challenge. Remote teams, how do you do designs together? You want to design a new system, you need to like put things on the wall. So Jamboard is also good for that. You can put like sticky notes on the board, you can interact, you can plus one, minus one, you can vote on things. And this is very, very important. There's also, I think, poker game or something poker, I'm not sure. It's for like estimation. So if you use like the typical estimations during agile processes where you do like the Fibonacci numbers, or if you have any other way of estimating your tickets or the work you do, then you need estimation cards as well. Zoom is also good because you can do a lot of interesting things. There's actually a feature I just said about Zoom. If you have like really large calls, if you still want to have a kind of company-wide call, you can actually split people up into groups. So you can say breakout sessions, every 5 people break out into different sections for 5 minutes, discuss something, and then come back together to actually collaborate. So you can still do all this with some of this online tools. So Zoom enables you to do that. The background, the video is nice. You can put a background in your back. So if you don't want to show your apartment or anything, so people don't want to, it's okay. You don't have to be shy. It's fine for you to just do like a background. So a lot of people do that now. They just put a background and that kind of blanks everything out. So you don't have to worry about maybe something is there. Another thing, this is kind of it depends on the culture of the company you work with. Leverage, like embrace whatever you are used to. If you have a child, your child is running around, don't push your child away, because some people do that, like, oh, go away, like you shouldn't be embarrassed of your child. That's one really tricky part. Like I said, it's based on culture. For my company and also companies generally, I'm encouraging you. Your child is part of your life. If you're working remotely, it's okay for your child to come around. People can say hi, oh, hello, hi. It's okay for your child to go away. You can answer your child. Don't push your child away. If you have a cat, if you have a dog, it doesn't mean you should then push them away because you're working remotely. So leave. Don't, try to be all pumped up. For specific advice for engineers, specifically Nigeria, and I'm putting it here because this is also something I worked remotely a lot for a while when I was in Nigeria with a company in the US. And I think one important thing is enable yourself to work. So a lot of engineers, we buy clothes, we buy MacBooks Pros, we buy expensive suits, we buy expensive things and phones. Some people are using iPhone XS and you still have power problems. I don't think it makes sense. I think you should invest first into solving your power problem. We all know the challenges we have in Nigeria. I think you should invest. As an engineer, your tool is your machine, your laptop is your machine, your MacBook Pro, your Dell, your HP. The best thing you can do is to ensure that you can always work. If you need to work at any point in time, you can always work. You don't want to be in a situation where your work depends on the decision of the power supply. So the power supply, some people only work at 2 a.m. to 6 because that is when there's power. You shouldn't depend on that. So when I was in Nigeria, for example, I invested into like power. I had a generator, I had an inverter. It was expensive. It cost me money, yes. But one thing I knew is that power is not my problem. So my boss knew that even if I'm working from home, power is not a problem. One of the reasons why people set up offices is because they are able to provide you with basic amenities. In the office, there's a generator. It's running all the time. So I don't have lights. Go to the office. There's lights there. You can tell your boss, I have an inverter, I have a generator. I'm sure, and you guys work something out. I'm sure you will be happy to say, okay, as long as the productivity doesn't go down, go for it. The same thing for internet access. If you have internet access, try to get a backup. So if you have maybe Smile, try to get a backup. We always have these challenges sometimes. Back then I had just one anyways, but I also had really good MTN. So I had MTN and I had another SIM, and then I have like Spectranet, which was the primary one I used. If it wasn't working, we switched to the one that works. And sometimes I even ask my boss at work, like, okay, we had multiple modems at work. Can I pick one of them just in case? So you need to show that infrastructurally you are ready to work remotely. And it's the same for me here as well. I already had good internet, but if I didn't have good internet, I would have needed to go and invest into that if I knew I'll be working remotely going forward. For now, my company, at least at the minimum, will probably not be open until sometime later in April. But at least I'm set up. Finally, ergonomics is very important. I don't know if you noticed I'm using this chair. I got it way before this working from home started, but now I'm seeing the purpose. I didn't see it a lot, but now I'm seeing the purpose. Back pain is real. For young engineers, I don't know, I'm 30. No, I don't need to hide or anything. I'm going to be 30 rather this year, later in this year. And as you grow older, some of these things that we take for granted, you walk, you bend your back, you are not sitting well, it starts to become problems. So back pain becomes a problem. You start having pains around your body because you're not sitting well. So invest in ergonomics, get a good chair, get a good desk, get a good setup. Be sure that there are lots of ergonomics websites online you can check. You can impute your height, you can impute your leg size. They can tell you what your chair size height should be. Invest so that you are comfortable working from home. You shouldn't work from home and get up and feel terrible. So these are the kind of little things that can help you to work better. Some companies will give you money to set this up, some companies won't, but in your own best interest, if it's something you want to really do for a long time, invest there so that at least you know that nothing can impact your work from a productivity point of view. And I think the other thing is when you are working remotely, you need to over communicate. You need to always communicate. You can't, as far as I'm concerned, even if you try to solve the problem today and you got stuck and you never told anyone you got stuck, at the end of the day, have you solved the problem? No. As far as everyone is concerned, you didn't try because they never know what you went through. At work, they could see you pulling your hair. They could see you maybe getting mad at yourself or maybe asking questions or making exclamations like they know something is wrong. But when you're working remotely, nobody knows. You could have well be watching Netflix since morning. So the only way that people can know is you over communicate. I'm working on this. I'm blocked. Can you support me? If it's too much, get on a video call. If you type too much, it's like you are not communicating well. Somebody is speaking the wrong information. Get on a call. This week I've done so many calls because of the week because I'm working remotely. Once I start to explain, I'm explaining the first time, the person doesn't. The person is explaining to me first time, second time I don't understand. You know what? Let's jump on a call. You solve the problem. Let's discuss this thing. And we discuss in 5 minutes. We are done. Okay, I get a clearer picture. All these things can only be possible, of course, if you have very good internet and things like that. So, like you said, it's like layers. So over communicate, always be clear. Give an update about what you are doing. If you're having challenges, give an update. If your team already has stand up in place where you talk about the things you do every day, it's great. If your team doesn't, I would suggest you encourage your team to start doing it. So agile processes, daily stand up, these things help transparency. They help to make sure that the team is aligned consistently. And as an engineer, make sure you are clear on your objectives. Know what you are supposed to be working on per time. If you don't have like a quarter plan or a weekly plan, ask your manager every day, what should I be working on today? I'm planning to work on this. Is this the most important thing now? And as a manager, you should make very clear expectations. I expect us to deploy this to production by Friday. That is the expectation for the week. Everybody knows that's what we're working on. If it's not clear, people could just go off and work on different things. And then the challenge is, at the end of the day, the team is not productive. So expectations have to be clear, both from the manager and from the team as well, so that everybody is aligned on what they're fully working on. We can always get together and, work together and also establish rules. Your team, you can decide on rules. For example, some of the things, like some of the tips we got when we started to do this remote thing was establish team rules. So for example, stand up, this is what we'll be doing. This is the time we'll be doing it. We'll be doing it on Hangouts, or we'll be using Slack to do our stand-ups. After doing our stand-ups, everybody will take turns and talk about what they did. We will not have any meeting earlier than 10 a.m. and we will not have any meeting starting later than 5 p.m. because people have lives, right? So for example, if you are doing a team meeting at 6:30 p.m., just like Emmanuel, so some people have flexi working. We also have something similar. And that person has already closed at 5, and then you are fixing the meeting for 6:30. That person loses out the context, So already there's a team agreement that every meeting, because every meeting is now online, they find out the latest meeting we are going to have will be at maybe 5:30 or 5 p.m. Then it's clear, and then we are fully aligned. So team rules, and refine these rules regularly. If something is not working, come together as a team. Can we improve on this process? Over communication, documentation, processes are important for teams to be able to run well working remotely. And then productivity can be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Goke. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate Tola, Fulai. What do you have to say to appreciate them? Temilade, what do you have to say to appreciate them for their time? At least they've shared a lot of things and I'm overwhelmed actually. Tola.
All right. I'm sorry I've been going off and on. This new modem is
You are not ready for
acting up. I
remote.
don't know
You're not
why.
ready for remote.
No, I've been switching networks actually, but
Yeah,
like
you're not
I don't
ready.
understand what's happened. I agree with you. All right, so thank you for joining us, Goke and Emmanuel. I really appreciate. I wish I was able to stay here to really enjoy what you guys have said, and I've missed a lot. However, talking about the future of work, just rounding up, talking about the future of work, I see that a lot of we are transitioning. Okay, maybe I have one more question to ask both of you before we end the call.
All right.
Or are we taking much time? It doesn't look like we are taking much time because I've not been here really.
Because of you now.
Okay.
Let's ask them. It depends on Goke and Emmanuel. See if they are ready, if they, maybe they've actually programmed like 1 hour for us. So
Okay, can I just hack someone?
Okay. Sure, shoot.
Go ahead,
All right.
please.
So, all right. So, because that's like the future. But do you think most of the solutions engineers build these days, most of the solutions we build these days have this feel of intelligence, being adopted already? Do you think we are really embracing artificial intelligence in most of the solutions we still build in 2020?
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
get you.
I didn't get
I didn't
Can
get
you
you.
hear me?
Can you come again? I didn't get you.
All right. So I'm asking that now we know that there is this transition into artificial intelligence and all. Now I'm asking both of you, do you think that we as engineers, in most of the solutions we built in 2020, do you think that we have started embracing or adopting intelligence in some of the solutions we are building? Like some of the solutions you have seen and some of the solutions you are building in your team.
Okay, so that's where I started with something about the environment. So number one, it depends on the company you work with and also depend on yourself. So you're working on a particular project and you decide to make it smart, decide to add some AI features into it. Number one, you have to consider that if you're doing that, remember you're working with a team. Are all your team members in sync with you? Do they have that same knowledge as you do? If you do that and you're away and there's something that needs to be updated or there's a feature that there's a bug that needs to be fixed and you're not available, can your other teammates do that for you? Or if you're not available, no one else can do it. So if it is something, if it is something everybody is in sync with it, your absence doesn't delay anything, your absence doesn't disrupt anything, why not go ahead? So behind the scene, where in front we hear that, this product is smart, this product uses AI, but what you discover is the product keeps failing. So what's the issue? It's that we don't have, that the engineers don't have the right skill enough, are not skilled enough. Do they need to take up more courses? So those are questions you need to ask. So what I've seen is in my company, what I've noticed is each team, you have engineers have already taken up that responsibility to be able to develop themselves and to say that, okay, 2020, let's begin to build smart systems. Let's begin to have some AI into our solutions, into our system. But remember, you also need data. And one other problem with Nigeria is data. We don't have a centralized data. even in companies, you'll be surprised that you ask for, okay, can I get a centralized database of all your users? You discover that they are having 3, 4, 5 sources of data. With that scattered about, with that, how do you build a smart system? Because you're picking data from this source, you're picking data from this source, you're picking data from another source, 3 different sources. And that's already an issue. So what we're trying to do in InterSwitch is we're trying to have a centralized data system. So whereby all these different sources we have, everything is merged into one, and you can do whatever you want to do with the data. So with that, if you're coming to QuickTeller to transact, you're coming to QuickTeller to buy airtime, you're coming to QuickTeller to pay bills, you have some follow-up ads based on your history, based on your interaction with the system, based on your behavior with the system. And you can only do that with data. So I think we need to get data right first once data is solved. And if it is something engineers want to pick up as a challenge, and not just you alone while working on a team, your fellow team members are also in sync with you, then we're good to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, your
Right.
view.
I think, yes, I mean, two points. Are engineers building smart systems? Yes. I know
Yes.
a bunch of people doing like smart things with smart systems, even in Nigeria, solving problems with these kind of things. Manuel mentioned the use case. I know of other use cases, especially around recommendations, which is one of the most like fundamental places we can like leverage smart systems. So recommendations, I bought this, you want to buy this, it's kind of smart recommendations. But there are other areas, and I just wrote a few things down that kind of are hindrances now to us using these things. I think we need to understand the maturity of our technology at the moment and see how we can get to the next level. So a good example is banking. The banking industry is a good example, you know. So in the, I think 2 years ago or so, USSD became a big thing. But technically speaking, if you look at the USSD technology, the USSD technology is supposed to be a technology we are not supposed to be going back to, actually. We are supposed to be moving forward from it, moving on towards mobile applications. But if we are going back to USSD, it just shows a bit of what the kind of demographics we have, the kind of user base we have, users that still use mostly feature phones. So these are some of the challenges in terms of using smart systems. It's possible to do, but we need big data. When we get this big data, the question to ask ourselves is the data biased or not? Currently, since majority of Nigerian population are not the one actually using the smartphones, then the data you have is from a particular select few, which is strictly biased, right? So would that give you a right representation of what you should be doing from a smart system point of view? For example, I come in, would you like to take a milk? If someone has a bot in a typical Nigerian family, as a bot, and that question is being asked, would you like to take a milk? Would you like to walk your dog? Obviously, that bot doesn't know what it's doing because I'm not walking my dog when I come back from at 10 p.m. in Lagos. I want to sleep, right? So this is the kind of ideas we don't also want. Smart systems can be super dumb when they don't have the right data. The other thing is ethics. So ethics is kind of a field that is kind of coming up now in AI. So are we supposed to be using this data? So we are gathering this data. Is it properly stored? Are we sure nobody has access to it? In Europe, this is big. So there's something called the concept of GDPR, where you cannot just get people's data. You must tell them clearly what you want to use that data for. You must, when someone says delete my data, you must clear the data all over the place. So yes, smart systems are possible. There are a lot of hindrances to making it happen. However, there are some spaces that make it easier. So when it comes to things that are not customized for a user and are not personalized, it's very possible. So for example, in my team, we leverage one of the tools we have in the company called something around time estimation, how we estimate delivery times. And this is all based on machine learning models to estimate delivery time. We're also planning use all these things in terms of route preparation, things like that. So there are a bunch of things we already do with artificial intelligence, but to get artificial intelligence to the good point, there are a lot of like levels, and it requires also time. So first of all, you get the data, you make sure your data is really heterogeneous and not homogeneous, not from a particular set of people. And then you can be sure that this system is smart enough to actually solve the problem. There was an article I read, been a while, maybe 3 years ago. It was actually in a Wired magazine. And it said Google as a team, as a company, they realized at a point that they've still not solved the problem of search. So, for example, if I go to Enugu, and in Enugu there's a place called Starbucks, and Starbucks is a canteen. If I go into my Google search, as you all know, Starbucks is a popular coffee chain in America. If I go to Google search and I type in Starbucks, Starbucks most likely is going to bring up the popular coffee chain. Why? Because it has more eats organically, it's more popular, people know it a lot. So based on the search algorithm Google has, it should be Starbucks I see first. But the reality is I really wanted to see Starbucks canteen that sells, I don't know what is the predominant food in Enugu, but that sells a particular kind of food that I wanted to eat. In reality, that means search, even though it's supposed to be smart, it's still not solve the problem appropriately. So I think I want us to look at things from this point of view. Let's not just keep looking at it from the point of view, can we do intelligence? Is the intelligence really solving a problem? In the end user doesn't want to know whether you use machine learning, AI, deep learning, neural networks. I asked my machine, do this for me, and it did it. It solved my problem. So at the end of the day, I think it's very important. We should always think about that. Is there a way to leverage AI such that we solve the user's problem? A market woman in Bodija market, she wants to do something, she gets it done. An elite in Banana Island wants to do something, it gets it done. If we are solving that problem, then AI works. If the AI will solve the problem for maybe one part of the market only and not for the other one, it doesn't completely solve the problem, but again, you have to decide what your customer segment is. So I think in AI itself, we've seen it as a silver bullet, which is great. I think it's really smart technology, but there's a long way to go in terms of deploying AI for it to really solve problems. Some people are getting there, some people have invested a lot into it, but we still need to spend more time into getting it to really solve the problems that we need to, especially when it comes to personalization. Basic problems, image recognition, search, the kind of thing Emmanuel mentioned, which I think is really interesting. All these things are really are more straightforward because they don't involve personalization. But when we start to talk about personalization and smart, really smart, the idea of a smart system is supposed to adapt to you, right? It's supposed to understand. Then we start to. And I think, yes, people are solving problems there, but we are still a long way away from really meeting users' needs and providing value with intelligent systems.
Wow, Emmanuel and Goke, you guys have really done justice to the question that I asked, and then it has really broadened the view about AI and then adopting AI in what we do. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
All right,
Sure.
so that was really expository from both of you, and I'm sure a lot of people have learned, you know, not to be over joyous on adopting AI, and that there's a lot to it, and you know, you have to be customer centric and you consider your customers and consider your users as well while adopting that technology. So I just asked that question so that people who are, you know, crazy and afraid and looking at AI from a point of view, this is what I need to get into. They can know what it really require to, you know, get into solving problems with artificial intelligence. All right, so thank you, Emmanuel and Goke, for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure a lot of participants have had a swell time here, and they have gotten to learn one or two things from both your experiences. And I want to really say thank you to you, and wish you the best in your endeavors and your work from now on. Thank you, Dapo, for moderating. And, you know, you are really showing some good skills of moderating. Thank you, everyone that has joined the call, and I appreciate you all for joining. I'm sure you have picked up one or two things that you can work on and, you know, use to be better at what you do. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, Dapo. Thanks, Tola. Emmanuel, it was nice seeing you again.
Yeah, nice seeing you too.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Thank you, Manuel.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy. Stay safe.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.